There's a quiet fear that creeps in for a lot of people as retirement gets closer. It doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it shows up as a simple question, did I do enough? And for a lot of retirees, that question quietly changes shape after the paychecks stop. It becomes something even heavier. Did I do enough for myself if I'm still helping my grown children too? If that sounds familiar, stay with me, because this is not just about money. It's about love, guilt, loyalty, pressure, and that strange way family needs can silently move into your retirement budget without asking permission. One month it's a phone bill, then it's car insurance, then it's a rent gap, childcare help, a loan that was supposed to be temporary, and somehow your fixed income starts carrying a load it was never designed to hold. Think of retirement income like the foundation of a house, strong, underground, easy to ignore, but carrying everything above it. Your savings are more like the furniture. Important, yes. Useful, absolutely. But if the foundation starts cracking, it doesn't matter how nice the couch looks. That is exactly what happens when retired parents keep pulling too much support from an income plan that was supposed to hold them steady for the rest of their lives. The real question isn't, how much can you still do for your adult kids? It's, how much can you do without quietly damaging the life you spent decades building? That shift matters. Because love without limits can turn into sacrifice without an endpoint. And sacrifice without an endpoint is not generosity anymore. It's erosion. Let that sink in. A lot of people think retirement danger looks dramatic. A market crash, a medical event, a huge tax bill. But sometimes the real threat is much softer than that. It sounds like, just this once. It sounds like, they're almost back on their feet. It sounds like, I'm their parent. Who else is going to help them? And listen, I'm not saying helping your adult children is always wrong. Sometimes it makes perfect sense. Families help each other. That's real life. But there is a difference between helping and becoming a permanent extension of your child's unfinished budget. One supports recovery, the other replaces responsibility. If you do not know which one you are doing, this video matters more than you think right now. Let me just say, if this content resonates with you, the subscribe button is right there. I never waste my viewers' time. Think of financial stress like carrying an invisible backpack all day. At first, you barely notice it. Then your shoulders tighten, your steps get shorter, you stop walking as far as you used to, not because you planned to, but because the extra weight silently changes your choices. That's what happens when retirement money starts covering your needs and your adult children's needs at the same time. You may tell yourself it's manageable, and maybe today it is. But stress in retirement rarely arrives all at once. It creeps, it nudges, it erodes your sense of safety long before it empties an account. You start delaying things you need, dental work, a home repair, a trip you promised yourself. The money is still there on paper, but emotionally it already belongs to someone else. I want to tell you about Karen and Linda. Karen is 67. She spent 32 years as a public school teacher. She lives in a paid-off ranch house in a small town. She has about $186,000 in savings, a modest pension, and a Social Security check that covers most of her basics. On paper, many people would say she looks behind. Linda is 65. She worked as a regional sales manager. She lives in a nice condo near the city. She has around $742,000 in retirement accounts, no pension, and she delayed claiming Social Security because she wanted the higher benefit later. On paper, she looks like the successful one. More savings, more options, more status, more room. But here's what the numbers do not show at first glance. Karen sleeps well. Linda doesn't. Karen knows exactly what it costs to run her life each month, and her guaranteed income covers most of it before she touches savings. Linda keeps writing checks to help her son with rent, her daughter with graduate school debt, and sometimes both in the same month. Her account is bigger, but her certainty is smaller. It's not about who has more saved. It's about who has more certainty. Karen's life is built on a stronger income floor. Linda's life looks wealthier from the outside, but inside it feels less stable because her savings are doing too many jobs at once. They are supposed to support her retirement. Instead, they are also smoothing over two other adult lives that have not yet stabilized. Here's a question. If you had to choose between more money or more certainty, which would it be? Keep that in your head as we go. Think of retirement as two distinct piles. Pile one is income that shows up no matter what. Social Security, a pension, maybe an annuity if someone has one. Pile 2 is savings, investments, cash reserves. The first pile is your monthly floor. The second pile is the cushion, the backup, the flexible part. Problems start when you treat the second pile like an endless payroll department for everyone you love. Now listen, this is where a lot of parents get tripped up. They keep focusing on the size of pile 2 because that's the big number. That's the flashy number. That's the one people compare. But the real question isn't how big is your nest egg. It's how hard does your nest egg have to work every single month because of the life you are actually funding. That matters because $1 million is not magic. $600,000 is not magic. $200,000 is not failure. The big number myth quietly convinces people that the account balance tells the whole story. It does not. Two retirees with the same balance can be standing in completely different realities depending on what their income covers, what their spending really is, and who else they are carrying. Imagine standing on a car lot. Every car has a sticker price. It looks official, bold, final. But nobody who understands money focuses only on that sticker. They ask what the real cost will be after financing, insurance, taxes, repairs, and fuel. Retirement is the same way. Your savings balance is the sticker price. Your actual spending life is the real cost. And adult children change that real cost more than many retirees realize. Not because one big emergency destroys everything, but because a series of smaller, temporary expenses quietly become permanent. Streaming services, cell phone plans, half a security deposit, bridging a gap after a breakup, covering groceries for a few weeks that somehow turns into 10 months. These are not usually giant disasters. They are constant leaks. Think about a faucet connected to a pipe you've been filling your entire working life. Every paycheck, every tax contribution, every year of work built pressure in that pipe. Social Security is part of that. Your pension is part of that. Your savings support the whole system. But if too many spigots open at once, the pressure that was meant to support your life gets spread thinner across needs that were never in your retirement plan. This is also why the timing of Social Security matters more than people think. Claiming at 62 gives you access earlier, but the monthly amount is permanently lower. Waiting until full retirement age, maybe 67, increases that monthly floor. Waiting until 70 increases it more. The real question isn't what age sounds smartest in theory. It's what choice best protects your long-term income and your household reality. For some retirees, claiming early makes sense. Health issues, job loss, a spouse's situation, immediate cash needs, real life is messy. But if you are claiming early, mainly because adult kids are leaning on you and cash feels tight, you need to pause. Because lowering your own lifetime benefit to solve someone else's temporary instability can quietly lock in less security for the rest of your life. Quick question. Have you ever felt guilty about spending money in retirement? Here's the thing. Many parents feel less guilty writing a check to an adult child than paying for their own hearing aids, replacing an old roof, or taking one decent trip a year. That emotional wiring is powerful. You tell yourself your needs can wait. You tell yourself the kids need it more. But retirement does not work well when your own maintenance keeps getting pushed behind everybody else's crisis. Think of inflation like an ice cube in the sun. It does not melt in a dramatic burst. It slowly softens, shrinks, and disappears while everything around it keeps warming up. Groceries cost more, insurance premiums creep higher, utility bills nudge upward, medical costs silently expand. That means every dollar you commit to supporting adult children today may cost you much more tomorrow because your own future needs are not standing still. And yes, Social Security has cost of living adjustments. The COLA increases people hear about every year. That helps. It matters. But it does not perfectly match every retiree's life, especially when healthcare, housing, and service costs in your personal world rise faster than the headline number. A COLA is helpful. It is not a shield against careless generosity. Pensions need the same kind of honest thinking. A lot of retirees underestimate how valuable a monthly pension really is because it does not look exciting. It is just a deposit. Quiet, predictable, easy to overlook. But if someone offered to buy that same income stream in the market, the price would often be enormous. You may already have what people with millions are searching for. Karen understood that. Her pension was not flashy, but it gave her breathing room. Linda underestimated the power of guaranteed income because she was focused on building, growing, maximizing. Nothing wrong with that. But growth alone does not make you feel safe in retirement. Reliable cash flow does, especially when family pressure shows up and asks for help in the same sweet voice for the 12th time. Let me ask you something. Do you know what your monthly income will actually look like when you retire? Be honest with yourself, because this is where perceived data and real data split apart. Perceived data says, I have a decent portfolio, so I'm probably fine. Real data says, after taxes, Medicare premiums, groceries, insurance, home upkeep, and the support I'm giving my kids, here's what's actually left over on the 25th of the month. Those are two different worlds. One feels comforting, the other tells the truth. Most retirement mistakes do not happen because people are lazy. They happen because people round numbers in their favor. They underestimate what life costs. They ignore seasonal expenses. They forget irregular repairs. They assume support for adult children will end soon. That last one is especially dangerous. Temporary help feels harmless because you are always mentally measuring it against a future where it stops. But what if it doesn't? This is why your retirement budget needs two versions. The first is your life with no support going out. The second is your life with the exact average amount you currently give adult children each month, even if it happens in bits and pieces. Not what you hope that support will be, not what you think it should be, what it actually is. Real data, real numbers, real pressure. Now think about sequence risk for a second. That sounds technical, so let me make it simple first. Imagine you plant a garden and the first few weeks after planting are brutally dry. Even good seeds struggle when the early conditions are bad. That is what happens when retirement starts with market losses while you are also taking withdrawals. Bad timing early on can damage a portfolio much more than the same losses later. So if you retire, the market drops, and at the same time you are sending money to adult children every month, you are putting extra strain on savings during the exact season they are most vulnerable. That is why this conversation is not just emotional, it is mathematical. Love does not cancel compounding. Support does not stop market risk. Your account does not care why the withdrawal happened. Here's something to think about. If you found out today that you're actually on track, how would that change your week? For some people, it would bring relief. For others, it would expose a hard truth. If you are on track only because you pretend the money going to adult children is not part of your real retirement cost, then you are not actually on track. You are borrowing comfort from denial. That sounds harsh, but clarity is kinder than false reassurance. And let's talk about spouse planning, because this is where silence can become expensive. Imagine a safety net stretched between two trees. It holds well when both sides are anchored, but if one side suddenly disappears, the tension changes fast. That is what happens in many retirements after a death. One Social Security check may disappear or shrink. Pension survivor choices matter. Expenses change, but not always as much as people expect. If you are married and still helping adult children, ask yourself a serious question. If one of you is gone first, can the surviving spouse still carry the current level of support? Or would that support instantly become impossible? Families avoid this conversation because it feels cold. It is not cold. It is responsible. The real question isn't what feels generous today. It's what remains sustainable after life changes shape. Karen and Linda show this clearly. Karen sat down with her late husband years before he passed and reviewed what would happen to income if either one of them was left alone. Not a fun conversation, not an easy one, but it gave her confidence later. Linda never had that talk in detail. She and her husband assumed the accounts were large enough. After he died, the balance still looked impressive, but the monthly decision-making got much tighter. Here's something most people never consider. Do you know the difference between what you need and what you want in retirement? Because many adult children do not ask retired parents for their needs. They ask them for relief from discomfort. That is not always the same thing. Covering a medical bill in a genuine crisis is one thing. Covering lifestyle drift is another. There is a big difference between helping someone stand up and helping them avoid the normal weight of adulthood. If you do not define that difference, you will quietly finance the blur. Think of boundaries like a fence around a garden. A fence is not there because you hate the people outside it. It is there because if everything can walk in, eat freely, and trample the soil, nothing healthy lasts. Retirees often think boundaries are selfish. No. Boundaries are how you keep your own future from being silently consumed by needs that never stop reproducing. This is where guilt becomes such a powerful force. Parents remember lean years. They remember wanting to give their children a softer life than the one they had. So when a son or daughter struggles at 32, 38, even 45, it does not feel like a financial choice. It feels like a test of love. But love and funding are not the same thing. Support can include wisdom, structure, and limits. One more thing. Sometimes help does not need to be cash at all. It can be a deadline, a plan, a budget review, a referral, a temporary room with a move-out date, or childcare that replaces a bill without draining your bank account. Money feels fast, but structure often works better. Fast money solves this Friday. Structure can change next year. Those are not the same kind of help. And if your child is truly in crisis, define the crisis. Name the amount, name the time frame, name the condition for ending the support. Vague help expands. Specific help contains itself. That protects the relationship too, because resentment grows fastest when support has no shape, no calendar, and no honest conversation attached to it for everyone involved. I want to ask you something personal. Have you ever avoided opening your retirement statements because you were afraid of what you'd see? If you have, you are not alone. Sometimes what people fear is not the market. It is the mirror. It is seeing the gap between the life they imagined and the one they are actually financing. But once you look honestly, something important happens. You stop making decisions in a fog. You stop reacting to every family emergency like it exists outside your plan. It is either inside the plan or it is damaging the plan. And that brings us back to the emotional heart of this whole issue. Many parents want their kids to feel secure. That instinct is beautiful. But if you quietly give up your own security to manufacture theirs, you may end up creating dependence in the present and fear in the future. Then your children may one day face a new burden, parents who need rescuing because they spent retirement rescuing everybody else. That is the part almost nobody says out loud. Sometimes the most loving long-term move is to protect your own stability so your adult children are not forced to carry you later. You are not behind. In fact, you may already be standing on one of the strongest financial foundations available today. But that foundation only helps if you stop treating it like it can support 3 households when it was built for 1 or 2. Let me ask you, have you ever thought about what your ideal retirement day actually looks like? Not the numbers, just the feeling. Maybe it is slow coffee in the morning, a walk, grandkids by choice, not because you are the unpaid emergency backup every week, lunch out once in a while without checking the account first, a home that stays repaired, a body that gets cared for, a little breathing room. Notice how none of that requires perfection, but it does require that your money serve your life instead of constantly patching someone else's. The goal isn't just to survive retirement. The goal is to enjoy it. That does not mean luxury. It means steadiness. It means being able to say yes to your own needs without feeling like you are stealing from your children. It means understanding that peace comes less from a giant account balance and more from knowing your monthly life is supportable without constant financial improvising. So what do you do if you realize you have been helping too much? First, do not swing to shame. Shame is useless. Clarity is useful. Think of a dim room with one lamp finally switched on. The furniture was always there. You are not creating the problem by seeing it. You are simply seeing where you can walk without stubbing your toe again. That is what an honest review does. Start by adding up every form of support from the last 12 months, not just checks. Include the phone plan, the insurance premiums, the streaming accounts, the surprise deposits, the "I'll cover it this time" moments, the co-signed obligations, the grocery runs, the airfare, the legal fee, the security deposit. Small things count because retirement budgets are rarely undone by one cinematic event. They are worn down by repetition. Next, compare that total to your guaranteed income, not just your portfolio. If your support for adult children is forcing regular withdrawals from savings, that is a signal. If it is pushing you to claim Social Security earlier than you wanted, that is a signal. If it means delaying home maintenance, dental care, travel, or basic peace of mind, that is a signal. Signals are not accusations. They are information. Then decide what kind of help is still possible. Think of a bridge with a weight limit. The sign is not rude. It is there so the bridge does not collapse under loads it cannot safely carry. Your financial help needs a weight limit too. Maybe you can do one-time help, but not monthly help. Maybe you can help with job training, childcare for a season, or a capped emergency amount, but not open-ended rescue. Quick question for you. If your retirement income was completely guaranteed for life, would you feel different right now? That question matters because what most retirees crave is not endless wealth. It is the ability to exhale. So build toward that feeling, strengthen the income floor where you can, review pension options carefully, understand survivor benefits. Know what claiming Social Security at 62, full retirement age, or 70 really does to your monthly check. Bigger savings matter, yes, but stronger income often changes how retirement feels. If you are still working part-time or have flexibility, even a short delay in claiming Social Security can increase your long-term monthly benefit. That may be worth more than people realize, especially if longevity runs in your family, or if you are married and the higher earner's benefit could protect a surviving spouse later. Again, the real question isn't what sounds impressive, it's what creates durable income under real-life pressure. And please, talk to your adult kids clearly, not angrily. Clearly, tell them what you can do, what you cannot do, and why. You do not need to hand them a spreadsheet unless you want to. But they should understand that retirement income is not a bottomless parent account. It is a carefully built system designed to last an unknown number of years while inflation creeps and life keeps surprising you. You can say, "I love you, and I need to make sure I do not put myself in a position where I become financially fragile later." That is not rejection. That is wisdom. You can say, "I can help this once, but I cannot become part of your monthly structure." You can say, "Let's talk about solutions that do not depend only on my check." Boundaries with warmth still count as boundaries. Here's a thought. If the system only rewards you with almost enough, you will spend your entire life chasing more. How does that make you feel? A lot of retirees have been chasing enough for decades. Enough in the checking account, enough in the 401k, enough for college, enough for the mortgage, enough for the emergencies. Retirement was supposed to be the season where chasing slowed down. But if you keep absorbing adult children's instability, that chase simply changes outfits. It becomes quieter, but it does not end. You do not need perfection to have a successful retirement. You need clarity. You need the courage to separate love from unlimited funding. You need to know what your actual monthly life costs and how much of it is protected by reliable income. You need to decide whether your savings are supporting your future or silently subsidizing someone else's refusal to build one. And remember the contrast. Karen had less money and more peace because her structure matched her life. Linda had more money and less peace because her structure was carrying hidden obligations. That is why real data beats perceived data every time. The account balance can impress people at dinner. Only your monthly reality tells you whether you are actually secure. If you are single, widowed, or the financially stronger spouse, this becomes even more important. One long care event, one housing change, one market downturn, one period of higher inflation can tighten your plan fast. Supporting adult children on top of that may feel noble, but nobility does not pay a premium increase. Affection does not refill a drained emergency fund. Warm intentions still have to survive arithmetic. Let me ask you, at what point did you realize that retirement planning wasn't just about money? For many people, it is the first time they say no and feel both sad and relieved. Sad because they want to make life easier for the people they love. Relieved because some part of them was exhausted from silently carrying too much. That emotional mix is normal. It means you are touching reality, and reality, while uncomfortable at first, is usually the place where better decisions begin. So here is a practical way forward. Run your household like it deserves protection because it does. Know your floor, know your true monthly number, know what support has actually cost you over the last year. Decide your boundary before the next request arrives, not during the pressure of the phone call. And if you are married, decide it together. A shared boundary is easier to hold than a private one. Then revisit your income plan. Review Social Security timing. Recheck pension survivor options if choices still exist. Stress test the budget for inflation. Ask what happens if investment returns are weak in the first years. Ask what happens if one spouse dies. Ask what happens if adult child support continues longer than expected. It's not pessimism, it's realism. And in this case, realism isn't negative, it's empowering. Think about this. There are people with millions of dollars who do not feel secure, and there are people with modest savings who sleep soundly every night. The difference is not the number. The difference is understanding. Understanding your income, understanding your expenses, understanding what actually matters, and understanding when help becomes harm. That is the difference between stress and peace. Before you go, if this helped you see your retirement differently, subscribe. There's more where this came from.